Hello everybody, it's Brian for GadgetUnit.com, and in this video I wanted to show you guys a video demo of the SteelSeries Stratus MFI compatible iOS gaming controller paired up with an iPhone 5S running RetroArch. It's a multi-platform emulator for jailbroken iOS devices and of course other platforms like I just mentioned. And the main thing I wanted to demo was how well this controller works with emulated PlayStation games on an iPhone. And I will say, as sort of a small spoiler, this works extremely well. I was incredibly satisfied with how well this works. The gameplay experience is just incredible. And to be honest, this is something I've been wanting for years. Ever since I first jailbroke my iPhone 3G way back in the day, I wanted something where I could play a PlayStation game on an iOS device with an external controller of some sort and have it work just as if I was playing it on a PlayStation on an old TV or something. And this works extremely well, and I'm incredibly satisfied with how well everything works. So RetroArch emulates a wide variety of gaming consoles right from within this one app without the need for having to go download extra things or not. Although for some consoles you might have to download a BIOS to increase compatibility, which I had to do with a couple of games. So some of the consoles RetroArch actually supports the Super Nintendo, the Nintendo DS, Game Boy, Game Boy Colors, Sega Master System, I think that is, the Game Gear, MD, CD, the Game Boy Advanced, Neo Geo, the PS1 of course, Virtual Boy, what else, Nintendo 64, and a couple of other ones, Super Nintendo. So a wide variety of different ones. So to actually set up your Bluetooth MFI controller, all you have to do is go into front end, global core config, then go down to input. And from here you could change some of the settings as well as bind your keys. So you're going to have to make sure to do that or your controls aren't going to work. So for each action under player 1 or player 2, if you happen to have a second controller hooked up or something, you'll have to set up these controls. So for example, up D-pad on a PlayStation controller, all you have to do on the SteelSeries Stratus is just push the up D-pad button to bind that control. For select and start, I don't have those paired because the controller itself doesn't have those buttons, although it does have this pause button. It's actually not used for anything. So this button doesn't do anything. That's only for actual MFI compatible games that take advantage of that unique particular button. So the first game I'm going to show of two would be Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Then I'll show Crash Team Racing, excuse me. So I'll just go to that real quick. So the great thing about this emulator is that it emulates PlayStation games, at least the ones that I've tried, which I've tried 3 so far. It emulates them pretty much one for one, so graphics glitches that you would see on your original PlayStation, you'd see them within the emulator as well, so that's nice. All of these cutscene videos play perfectly. So anybody who's ever played this game back in the day remembers these videos. And here we have the Rage Against the Machine ones. So there you go. Let's go ahead and skip that and go to the main menu. This will probably be a long video. So I'm just going to go into a single session just to do something for a couple of minutes. Not too sure how well you can see the screen. Hopefully you can see it. But all I really need to show you guys is that the controller works well with this particular game. I only have the default hangar, which everybody remembers, and the school maps unlocked. I'm just going to go to the hangar since most people are probably familiar with that. So even the emulator, it emulates the loading times of games as well, which is pretty nice to see. So here we go. I'm playing this through a different angle. I'm looking at it actually through my camera's LCD display. As you can see, it works extremely well. There's no lag when I'm pressing the buttons and actually seeing something happen in the emulator. Let's do a little thing there. Do a couple of combos. So the first time I actually tried this game with this controller, I was just giddy at how well everything worked. I mean, it's exactly how it would be on an actual PlayStation. It was just incredible. This is something I've been wanting to have for years. And thanks to being jailbroken and being able to use external game controllers, and not just the Stratus, I mean, you are able to get an actual PS3 or PS4 controller hooked up pretty well through Bluetooth and a couple of jailbroken tweaks, so that works as well. But it's not as portable as the Stratus, and I will be doing a full review on this controller in a couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that. It's definitely going to be a positive one. It just works really well, especially with RetroArch and its various emulators, or excuse me, consoles that it can emulate. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish off this session before I switch over to Crash Team Racing. 30 seconds left. I'm doing fairly well given how I'm looking at the phone itself. Messed that one up. I have no idea what I was pressing. So I guess more about the controller. When I first started using it, it was a little bit tough because it was actually a bit smaller than I imagined it would be. But I actually got used to it fairly quickly, which is a good thing because you want to be able to use a controller well and comfortably. Let's see if I could do a... I wasn't able to jump at the last second. So that was my high score for this one. It's a new high score. You can see two of my other ones there. Let's go ahead and update the save file on the virtual memory card, which I always thought was kind of cool to do. So that was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 on an iPhone 5S, being emulated perfectly using a being paired with a SteelSeries Stratus gaming controller. So let's go ahead and close out of that game and go ahead and load Crash Team Racing. So for this game, I'm going to be showing you the left analog stick being used. With Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, you could use the analog stick, but it's just not right, in my opinion. So this game, I will be using the analog stick for steering my character, as opposed to using the D-pad. Let's go ahead and skip this. I think for this game, you actually had to press the start button to skip it, and that's actually on the screen. Not too sure if you can see that, because like I said, the controller does not have its own start or select button. Let's go ahead and skip that. And again, for this one, I'll just do a quick race to show you guys how this works. One thing I will say is that playing it on a small screen like this isn't the best experience, but it still exceeds my expectations, instead of, or at least in terms of playing a PlayStation game using an actual controller with pretty much the same layout as a PlayStation controller. If I had an iPad, or a powerful iPad like an iPad Air, then this would be just a much better experience, I guess. Because of the larger screen, it would actually fit the entire screen because it's the same aspect ratio. I will try this out on my iPad too. Hopefully the controller is compatible with it, because on SteelSeries' website it says that it's only compatible with the iPad 4 and above, and not the iPad 2, which I thought was a little bit weird. So let's go ahead and get back to the main menu here. This video is about 8 minutes through, so hopefully this will be less than 12 minutes total. So let's just go into a arcade race, single, one player. I'll go to medium for the difficulty. I'll just choose Crash Bandicoot for the sake of picking something fast. All of the tracks are unlocked, which is kind of nice. So I'll just pick Crash Cove. That's the first race everybody plays in, that anybody who's played this game probably remembers. So here we go. Let's go ahead and skip this. I forgot which button it was. Change the map to that, and here we go. So for this game, you would have to jump your cart to be able to power slide, and to jump high and land to get a speed boost like that. The shortcut didn't work there. So to actually jump, it would be L1 or R1. R2 looks back, and L2 changes the view just a little bit. Circle, or in this case B on the controller, shoots your weapon that you happen to pick up. Just barely missed her. So like I said, for this one I will be using the left analog stick, which obviously I am, for steering. It also supports smooth steering, so some games, even iPhone games that are made for these controllers from the App Store, you would use the left analog stick and move it just a little bit to the left, for example, and it would act as if you were moving it all the way to the left instead of just a little bit. So steering, for example, wasn't really that great. But for this game, it actually picks up how much you're moving the left analog stick. So if I move it to the right or to the left a little bit, well, if I could get to a proper turn to demonstrate this. Oh, it's the last lap already. So let me go ahead and turn to the right a little bit. So I'm barely pushing the left, or yeah, the left analog stick to the right, and it's picking up the actual strength of the stick itself. I'm just kind of rambling on. It's late and I'm just kind of focusing on this game a little bit more. Hopefully I can knock him out. Doesn't look like I'm going to. Nope, finished second. Disappointing, but whatever. So that was it. I mean, this is a really good experience for somebody like me who wants to play some of their old PlayStation games, emulated really well on their iOS device using an actual physical controller, because using the on-screen buttons is really difficult and it just takes away from the overall game experience. So being able to use something like this with this is just a really great gaming experience. There were a lot of great titles for the PlayStation and pretty much every other console that RetroArch happens to support. So that's it with this video. It was a long one. I was kind of rambling on for a lot of it, but that's it with this video. If you have any comments, questions, or feedback about this or anything else, feel free to leave those down below in the comments area. But that's it with this video, so thanks a lot for watching, and I'll talk to you all very soon.